position. Annie Power at the last race down. Annie Power has gone but in front of the last length. Melody Light
By the first time, they're running up towards the finish, and he's mistaken the winning post. He's mistaken the winning post completely, Roger Loughlin, and Hoyt
From Archibald, Hardy Eustace defends his title, but Archibald is flattened out in second. Then he's followed down right by, he's beginning to come out. He's drifting off the true line. He hangs fire, and this was coming home. Swings the gun to win his fourth Betfair chase, and Cordo Star is still the king. Cordo Star wins.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Tailed Off, episode number 31. As a reminder, this is No Hold Bars podcast that dives headfirst into the wonderfully weird world of horse racing. Today we're doing a jumps season preview, and we're not just doing a usual preview like everyone else. We're going to dive into a bit more detail, do a bit of an explainer across the big divisions, and then obviously we'll pick some of the winners hopefully for Wincanton this weekend. Before we get into that, we'll cover trainers in form, we'll do the usual call-out update, news and Anorak Corner, and then Stewart's Inquiry. El, it's just you and me this week. How you doing?
We can't seem to get the three of us together.
No.
The seasons aren't aligning, or the stars aren't aligning.
Good to have you back though. We missed you.
Yeah, a couple of weeks off, but back raring to go. Ready for the jump season now.
I think Duncan did a good job in holding the fort and keeping Anorak Corner.
Yeah. He went more Anorak than I did, to be honest.
I know, it was good. I really enjoyed it.
Passionate at one stage.
He obviously covered his showbiz night as well, which he missed a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. And now he's in true showbiz fashion. He's too big for us again. He's gone hiding.
He's bailed. No, I'm joking. All right, let's get into trainers in form then. So I gave a bit of an update last week because we had a good week. We had a few big wins, didn't we? So how are we doing from last week then?
Yeah, it's just probably a smaller update from your one last week because we just had the one selection. But I think you said that I am trying to get more of them out now.
Yeah.
But we had that kind of period of the flat ending and the jumps not really starting. So that's an awful time for punting. September, particularly, or end of August, start September is just a bad time for punting because the seasons are changing.
It's a bit of a change over time.
You're at the wrong end of both seasons for betting. Now we've kind of got into more of the jumps. I've put a few more up, and we had another place at the end of last week, which was good news. Actually 3 places and 2 winners from our last 6 selections. Shows that we're in good form. That puts us back up to 75.98 points up pod to date from 68 selections.
It's pretty good.
A very, very pleasing set of results because we did drop down to sort of into the 40s in the middle of the summer, but we've come steadily back into the mid 70s, and long may it continue.
Coming to your bread and butter, I'd say as well in terms of jump season. So we should.
I think.
Nice still.
I think because the whole sort of premise of the model is smaller trainers who don't have many horses, and that does seem to be more of a thing at jumps because it's more of a hobby. So you'll get sort of trainers that are pointers, or they have like hunters that they might literally have a handful of horses, and that's a great time to capture. I mean, our first ever winner, 33-1, was one of those examples. So
exactly.
Hopefully we'll have more to come.
Yeah, awesome. Nice one. Well, good effort. It'd be good to see actually after about a year, let's have a look at a bit of the data and see like where we see some peaks and troughs and see if there's any commonalities. But yeah, as a reminder, I think I mentioned this last week, go and watch the Trainers in Form podcast. It's the first one we ever did, and we did a bit of a detail around what is Trainers in Form, why is it important, and why do we think it's a thing to focus on. So
we've now proven, nearly a year later, it is definitely
maybe we need to do an update and say, we'll wait for a year and then we can, because there'll always be someone saying, it doesn't
Toby.
Always work. Yeah, Toby. All right, let's get into call out then. So El's horse, or should I say El's syndicate that you're involved in, call out. What's happened? Gone?
Wow, this will be the last call out update. It's been a fun ride, but he's gone. He's gone. He's just probably even out the country now as we speak.
Oh, really? They really sort of turned that around quick.
Yeah, well, we always had this sale. So there's a horses and training sale which runs for a few days at Newmarket. It's a tat sale at the end of October, and that was kind of like, if unless he suddenly decides to become a superstar, then obviously you wouldn't sell him. But that was kind of what we had long term in our plan. And I think that's where it can't have been where we picked him up from, because we got him in the spring. But we picked him up for 4.5k, and given that he'd come second twice and won and ran some okay races, we were hoping that he might make that back essentially, and then everyone kind of gets their share back and you move on. But then he ran, despite running quite well at Chelmsford where he was second a couple of starts ago, he then ran quite poorly couple of times towards the end. So I kind of thought we've probably blown that now. Like, is anybody going to buy him? So I was pleasantly surprised last Friday when he actually got picked up by, I'm going to butcher this pronunciation, but Jabba Hendas Thani Al Saidi for £8,500, or 8,500 guineas, I should say. And just as a reminder, all horses are sold in guineas, which is basically like the first currency in terms of coins that ever existed. And
another nice little niche.
Yeah.
So what's that then in terms of pounds?
So for pounds, you add on 5%. So a guinea is worth £1.05, for example. So traditionally, I don't know why they're still sold as those old currencies. But
it's an interesting little, yeah. It's
So
anorak men, as you say,
indeed,
in an anorak sport.
But he was sold, and
nice.
So basically, like nearly double what we paid for him, which is good. He's going to Kuwait, of all places. Didn't expect that. But I was doing a bit of research into it, and if you think about the Middle East, you've got Dubai, which obviously was one of the first bigger nations over there to sort of foster the racing world, and Sheikh Mohammed and his family coming over with Godolphin and setting that up and taking over British racing essentially. And then since then, you've had like the Qataris get heavily involved, Saudi, Bahrain. So, Kuwait's just kind of part of that area of the world. So it's not really a huge surprise that they're also trying to start a bigger, well, I say start, they've been going a while, obviously, but they need horses, and Britain's a good place to find racehorses. So he's going to go over there, and maybe the sunny weather will perk him up a bit.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, I don't know, interesting, like in terms of going to, I mean, obviously Kuwait is baking.
Yeah. Some
horses, I guess, really struggle with the heat. So it'd be interesting. It's quite a risk, isn't it, if you think about it, if you're buying. Now, obviously, for someone like Jabba Hendas Taini Al Saidi, it's probably just pennies. But still.
Yeah. I guess they just need some stock. So as you say, loose change if it doesn't work out for them. But it'd be a totally different kettle of fish from Newmarket to Kuwait for Callout.
Nice.
But wish him all the best. I don't know how I'm going to keep track of his progress, because I don't know if you can look up the results and stuff.
But you can't put that in the tracker, can you?
No. But I suppose the follow-on from that is that because he went for more than I thought, Jack duly called me last week, not one to sort of let the trail go cold, with a new opportunity. And he's got me hooked. Anyway, I've committed. I've sent the money. I'm in. I've got another 2-year-old. So this is the first time I've ever actually owned a 2-year-old and a horse that's not ever raced over any distance or code, and hasn't even been named yet. That's how early in the journey I've jumped in.
That.
Yeah, so he's a yearling, so he's going to be a 2-year-old for next season.
Yeah.
He's by Sergei Prokofiev, where he was champion 2-year-old sire at his first crop. He could be one for some big races next year, hopefully. Who knows?
Well, you got to be in it to win it, so why not? Why not? I mean, the grave isn't even cold, and you're straight in.
It was literally on the day he was sold. He called me.
Well, like you say, why not? Like if you made more than you thought, then it's always good to reinvest sometimes.
It.
Exactly.
Yeah. So rather than it going into the wedding fund, it's gone back into the owner fund.
Don't tell Laura. So what's the plan then? So it's a jumps, obviously.
No, it's a flat horse. It's staying with
it's
Jack.
A flat horse. Okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
So Jack bought it in.
Sorry, it's still Jack, isn't it? So he trained. Flats really.
He was over in a sale in Ireland, because this sire is quite sought after. Like Pete's got one that was 30-something thousand, but this one went for 20,000. So I said to Jack, I'm quite surprised. And the dam, which is the mother, has only had 3 foals, and each one of them has won at least one race. So that's always quite good when you're buying, unproven stock. It's kind of, especially because you know how good the sire is, but it's the dam side that's more important, because if they haven't done anything themselves, have they produced horses that win? And she has every time. So I said to Jack, I was quite surprised it went for 20k, because you would have expected maybe 30 to 40, but I was hoping there's nothing wrong with it. But no, Jack said he did his research, and it got 10%. So
lovely. So we'll replace the call out update with name TBC update.
Name TBC. There's a big syndicate on the flat. Actually, they have jumpers as well, called Midland Park Syndicate, and it's if anyone's seen the light blue silks with the orange epaulets, and they're a massive syndicate, and they own 50% of the horse. So Jack says they'll get the naming rights. So I'm fascinated to know what they're going to call it.
Nice. Well, let us know next week, I guess, or in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah, I probably should have put in a picture. We'll put it in next week. Got a picture of him at least.
Yeah, that'd be good. That'd be good. Yeah. Out with the old, in with the new. Right, keeps updated. So let's get on to the news before we then cover the jumps season preview. So, what's happened to Caldwell Potter?
Not good news for Nichols. Unfortunately, we're doing the jump season preview, and this could have been one of the horses we were talking about. But he has unfortunately been dealt an injury blow, which means he's out for the season. Nichols has been quoted to say it's a smallish injury, like it's not the end of his career. But I imagine he's probably done what's called doing a leg, which is kind of like ligaments essentially. And with horses, they just need X amount of time in the box, standing still, resting, and you just kind of have to draw a line under the season and just say we'll start again next year, because it takes so long to build him up. By the time they get him in a position where they start training him, it will be the spring and the season will be over. So for those who aren't aware, he was kind of a bit of an infamous horse last season because he was the most expensive public auction national hunt horse when he was sold for €750,000 last February, so 24, and went straight into Nichols's. He was bought by the kind of the four-man team of John Hales, Fergie, a guy called Jed Mason, and the owner of Betfred, Fred Dunn. But unfortunately, obviously, John Hales passed away last season. But he was, sent to Nichols, never ran for him the end of that season, came from Gordon Elliott's, then basically struggled to hit the ground running for Nichols last season. And everyone was sort of laughing at his expense, saying it was a bit of a waste of money, given that they spent the record amount for him at public auction. But then, true enough, he came good. He went and won at Cheltenham quite easily, and then won the Grade 1 at Aintree. So Nichols, who, would have been the number one favourite for the Trainers' Championship pretty much every season for the last 20, 25 years, is now, not really hitting those heights anymore, and he's desperate for Grade 1 horses, and this was a Grade 1 horse, and he's unfortunately lost him. Sad news for Nichols.
Yeah, it's a massive blow, isn't it? I mean, I guess the only positive is something that's hopefully recoverable.
Yeah.
But it just shows like how fragile it is, no matter how much you spend. Yeah, 750 grand.
It's a lot of money in it.
You say that's the most expensive in a public auction.
Yeah.
So obviously you can buy horses for a lot more than that.
Potentially privately, but to be honest, for jumpers, I mean, the point-to-point jumpers go for, this is horses that just want a point-to-point, never hit the race course.
Yeah.
That, they will go for what I would say is silly money, like 300,000, 300 to 500,000, let's say. But this is a rare one because it's a horse in training. So you don't get many Grade 1 horses go to sale, but it just happened that these owners, they sold basically their whole team of horses. They decided to get out the game. So they just happened to have a massive, Grade 1 horse that was up for sale, which is unusual. That's probably why it's a record, because it doesn't happen very often.
Yeah.
If you sold Constitution Hill tomorrow, you'd smash that record. Do you know what I mean? But it'll never get sold, so it doesn't happen very often.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Interesting. All right. Let's get on to Stuart's inquiry, shall we?
So what happens at the photo finish?
Stuart's inquiry.
What's going on with Holly Smith?
Yeah, well, I sent the video. Hopefully you can post it for those watching.
We'll post that, yeah.
I've always looked after him at Hugo Palmer's. I've loved him. He's the sweetest horse ever. I love riding him, and we have tried to race him, but I don't think personally he's fit for racing, so I've just wanted to take him out racing, give him a happy home, and then he can come live with me, and we could go on hacks all the time with all my friends. He's so safe, anyone could literally get on it and you'd feel so safe. He'd take you up the canter nicely. It's just an amazing horse.
But essentially, talking about the sales, as we have been, the horses and training sale, the same sale that I got, that the Callout was sold from, a young stable lass, Holly Smith, who worked at Hugo Palmer's. Tats, their social media team, I've been watching quite a few of the videos. They've basically been doing interviews with people that have been buying horses and selling horses and seeing where they've gone and that sort of thing, as you would do for a social media team. Put together this lovely video of this young girl, work rider, who basically was just so sort of out of breath. She was so elated the fact that she'd managed to purchase this horse, and they obviously thought it was a nice thing that they were putting out there, but it rightly got absolutely torn to pieces, because as the story unfolds, as you're watching this video, this poor lass who basically works with this horse every day, looks after it, mucks it out, rides the horse, understandably has fallen in love with the horse. The trainer has decided that it hasn't made the grade to be a racehorse, and therefore it's time to move on. So they're taking it to sale. But given that it's well established that this horse is no good for racing, they've made her go through the rigmarole of the horse even going to the sale, which would have been costly anyway. He's somehow clubbed together £1,000 of her own money. And, being a stable lass is not exactly a lucrative career. To buy the horse off the trainer, literally just so she can give it home for life. This horse was not going to be sold to be a racehorse. And to be honest, shouldn't have really been in the sale in the first place. One, because it's horses and training sale. And if it's not good enough, it's kind of disingenuous that you're putting it there. Two, if the kind of ultimate outcome was that it was going to just need a good home for life, why have they made this poor stable lass pay £1,000 for it? And then it transpired that it wasn't just, you could sort of understand if it was a syndicate of like people that don't have a lot of money themselves, but it was owned by the same people I've just mentioned that own Coldwell Potter, Alex Ferguson and Jed Mason and Fred Doan. So they really do not need another £1,000 in their pockets. I've still been looking to see if any. I really was expecting them to come out and say, "We've kind of hold our hands up, we've cocked up here."
Yeah.
Refund her the money. Give her some feed and some stuff to look after the horse on our behalf. But
yeah.
I've not seen. It might have happened. I've not seen anything. But I just thought this was a massive stewards because this poor girl just wants to give the horse a safe home.
Yeah,
and it's had to go through the sales to do it, which is shocking, really.
That is crazy. I was just, bless her. Like, I mean, fair play. Like you say, obviously falling in love with the horse and spent time, years with it, and bless her.
So do better, lads. That's poor form.
That is poor form. Is there rules around that then? Is there, if like you're shoving a horse into a Tattersall's for auction, but you know that it's not like going to be running or just trying to get rid of it?
Well, it's not something that's really regulated because I suppose technically it's a horse in training. It just hasn't hit the race course as far as the auctioneers are concerned. And I'm sure there will be plenty of horses sold that haven't raced. That stable has just decided we don't want to carry on with it. Gone to other stables and then potentially flourished. So it's you got to be careful saying that you can never sell a horse that hasn't hit the track. Because if people want to sell the horses, they want to sell the horses.
Well, exactly.
Looking back, it doesn't look great.
No, it doesn't.
Sort of knowingly. The thing is, if she hadn't have been...
Yeah, she hadn't been interviewed, you don't find out, would you?
Exactly. So if she hadn't been involved and bought the horse back, somebody else might have picked that horse up for a few grand just because they look at the breeding and they don't know that the horse can't become a race horse.
Yeah, exactly.
And they would have had to walk
false advertising, really, isn't it? It's sort of
a little bit, So not good. It's not good.
All right. Well, thanks for sharing that. Right, let's get on to the Jumps season preview, shall we? So, I think it's safe to say this is your favourite part of the season.
Yeah,
I growing to love it definitely more than the flats. I mean, I especially going to Cheltenham, it was. Yeah, like it really brought it to life. I can see why people love it. So a little of an intro then. So technically, Jump started 3rd of May.
Yeah.
But this is the real season proper.
Yeah.
I guess this is like where Anorak people and enthusiasts regard this the proper sort of changeover.
Yes, we can come out the shadows now the summer's passed and we can get back into society now that all of the, the champagne drinkers and the sort of fair weather...
Posh-hats.
Yeah, posh hats, fair weather race goers.
On a day out. Yeah.
Just go for your McFly concert and your nice pictures on Instagram. They've all gone now. We can come back out and we can go racing and have all the space and comfort and be absolute geeks looking at the horses.
Yeah. And it's pissing down with rain, trying to figure out what the hell's going on.
Freezing cold, flat hats on. Love it. Tweed to the nines.
Love it. And so you're going to dive into each of the divisions. There's 4 divisions, and I think as I mentioned at the start, we wanted to understand not just, this is a horse to look for, but also why. Like, what sort of horses are you looking for each of those divisions? And that's across Champions Hurdle, Champions Chase, Stayers Hurdle, and Gold Cup, which are the big divisions. And it's all the lead up to Cheltenham. We'll get into like the calendar and stuff, but we'll obviously have a bit of a thread between now and Cheltenham on the Jumps. Shall we start with Champion Hurdle? We'll do Champion Hurdle, shall we? And we'll do Gold Cup. And then next week we can cover Champion Chase and Stayers Hurdle when Duncan's back.
Yeah, so this will kind of be like part 1, I suppose.
Part 1.
But as you rightly say, it's a bit quirky that the flat season is a bit easier to understand because the turf, which is i.e. the grass that they race on, only starts at the very end of March, start of April, right through till literally this weekend, I think, or last weekend, the start of November, and then that's it, it's done. So you know when that is. But whereas the Jumps literally used to start back in the day, as Sandown is the last day of the season, been to it a few times, great great meeting at the end of the season. The very next Sunday, like the day after, the jump season started again. Everyone went back to 0, and I just thought that's mental. Like, you can't
mental.
have a break for even just 2 minutes.
Yeah. Well,
So
it's a
what
bit like the football season when you think that's done, and it's like, oh, it's the bloody Club World Cup, and then all of this shit. Yeah.
All our better halves are kind of sick of the sight of football, and it just never. But they have now introduced a whole week's break at the end of April, so that's why this season technically started on the 3rd of May. But for anyone that really follows the game, that's what's known as summer jumping, that you run at Stratford upon Avon, Newton Abbot, kind of places, Uttoxeter, places like that, which are kind of really, Worcester would be a classic example. Just really low down the pecking order.
Yeah.
And then
you can't race at Worcester in the winter because it's always flooded,
exactly.
So.
That's what. So to be fair, there's quite a few courses like Worcester that if summer jumping wasn't a thing, so if they just said, right, we'll have 2 or 3 months off, we'll start when the winter comes around, they wouldn't be able to exist as race courses because anyone's been to Worcester, it's underwater for most of the winter. So the jumps really kind of hots up now from mid-October when you have a good meeting at Chepstow for a couple of days. Then we had Cheltenham towards the end of October. And now, as soon as you get into November, the only downside is we haven't had much rain, which I know nobody wants it to rain, but for jumps horses, we need it nice and soft. And as we come to preview Saturday's big race, there's only 7 runners in it, which has everything you need to know about the ground. But yeah, this is the right time of year to start thinking about the jumps. Everybody obsesses about Cheltenham, but what we'll do is show you kind of the key stepping stones along the way and cover a couple of the key divisions.
Yep.
Starting with the Champion Hurdle.
Yeah, let's start with the Champion Hurdle. So what do we need to have in a horse to win the Champion Hurdle?
Yeah, so I'm going to be quite basic about this, but just because I think it's worth calling out the key attributes for those. I think a lot of these podcasts take for granted what people think they know about the game, and
also we're helping people pick their own winners, as well, like, not just to you've got to learn how to do it, not just what.
Yeah, so there's four what we call championship divisions. You got 2 mile hurdles, 2 mile chase, and then the staying races over hurdles and fences. And the Champion Hurdle is for the 2 miles. So unsurprisingly, that's the shortest distance they can race over. Speed is probably the number one attribute. Because even though Cheltenham is classed as kind of a stamina racecourse, which it does actually, and we have covered this in our Cheltenham preview, but it does actually have 2 courses within it, which I think we pointed out to you when you were there. So they have.
It's got an absolute maze in the middle.
It is a bit of a maze. They have the old course and the new course, and they run 2 days at the Cheltenham Festival on the old course. That's Tuesday, Wednesday. And then the new course is on Thursday, Friday. And the old course is much tighter and much sharper. Yes, they still have to finish up the hill, but it puts much more emphasis on speed. And that is why the Champion Hurdle is run on the Tuesday on that course, because it really kind of separates the quickest and best hurdlers around. So that's kind of, I suppose, the number one thing. And just to give you an idea of how quick that is, the record for the Champion Hurdle, quickest time, was set by Annie Power in 2016. She did it in 3 minutes and 45 seconds, which is pretty rapid. The ground was pretty quick that day. It was a sunny day, warm day. But you'll be seeing some races this season well over 4 minutes. So it just shows the kind of speed you need to get down to championship pace. And then the other kind of key
as part of their training. Do you think they use that as part of their training? So basically, I was just looking at the top fastest winning times. You're looking at, like you say, anything under 4 minutes. Basically, is what you want to aim for. Constitution Hill a couple of years ago did 3 minutes 48. Are they trained? Do you think they're like throughout the season? They're like tracking the time over that sort of distance.
I've never really heard of a trainer timing horses in gallops and stuff, but I suppose the difficulty is when they gallop in, this is when they're doing their work every sort of day or every other day in the week. They are basically doing sort of 6-7 furlongs maybe. So that's less than half the distance of the Champion Hurdle.
Yeah, okay.
And you're not going to... Whereas, let's say if I was training for a marathon or a half marathon, at some point in my training, I might run the distance and see how quick I am and then get an idea. They would never do that in their training for the horses because basically if you're running that, you've only got 2 or 3 of those peaks in a season.
It takes a lot out of the horse.
So much out of you. So if you did that in practice, it'd be a waste of energy, I think. So probably in short, no, but I think a lot of trainers do it on field, and they'll work them against other horses. So if they've got 2x2 going up a hill as quick as they can, and the one is sort of a few lengths ahead, they kind of work out from that basically how quick they are.
Okay.
So that's speed number one. And then probably, again, this sounds quite obvious, but efficient jumping. I'd say for hurdles, the Stayers hurdle, which Duncan will cover next week, is probably less significant in terms of jumping because they go at a much slower pace. And even though they're hurdles, you might think, well, how really important is it? Because they're not very big obstacles, whereas the fences, obviously the chase races are much tougher to jump. But actually, it's less about jumping them like stylishly. It's about efficiency. That is the most important thing. It's getting from A to B in the quickest time possible, basically almost skimming the top of the hurdle.
Yeah.
Because that
think
full
about
pace,
hurdle runners, basically.
Exactly.
Like you got to be like
you want to be as low
up and
as
down.
possible, just straight over.
Yep.
Because there's been plenty of like courses with good engines or whatever, but they either get too close, they take off too far away, or they jump too big, kind of like a big upside down U shape.
Well, we saw Constitution Hill, didn't we?
Yeah. There's a prime example. When he was at his best a couple of seasons ago, when you're saying he's clocking those fast times, he was a great jumper. And all of a sudden something's got, but apparently they're checking his eyes out because he's been to Specsavers. He's not reading the hurdles
to get his
properly
short-sighted lenses on.
And he's fallen like a couple of times, so it just shows. And if I think of some of the prime examples of this, Hurricane Fly was unbelievable. It was like trained by William Mullins, ridden by Ruby Walsh. Literally he just would run as hard as he could, and then just lift his legs, and then just float over the hurdle and back. He was full speed again. It's like almost like he never jumped. He floated over them.
Yeah.
And there was a horse of Nicky Henderson's called Bouvardet, who they tried to make into a chaser, and they were a bit scared of how low he was getting over the fences. So they brought him back to hurdles, and then he won 2 champion hurdles because he was just. And then unfortunately he was too efficient that he started falling because he was just leaving nothing to waste. But yeah, those are so speed number one, but then getting from A to B as quick as possible. The next thing really for jumpers.
And I guess that's probably the efficient jumping. You probably need to be good at that. Obviously, you can't be a shit jumper, but like you say, in this race, because it's so fast, you need to be super quick compared to the others.
You miss one hurdle, you're out the race. The race is gone.
Exactly. Yeah.
You won't get it back.
Yeah. So it's not just efficient; it's also accurate in terms of like getting 10 out of 10 or whatever it is. How many other jumps are? All right. So what's the road looking like then? We've got 2, 4, 6 sort of key trials before then: Punchestown, Newcastle, Kempton, Leopardstown, and Cheltenham. Any of those you wanted to pick out, as you'd probably say, we'll obviously flash it up on the screen, you probably say, okay, these are the key milestones.
Yeah, I mean, so the little graphic I've got here is covering Ireland as well, so they'll have their own. I mean, potentially this year it's looking better than it usually does. So the first one we have in this country is the Fighting Fifth. I do find it mad with jump racing because you have, with the flat, the best races tend to just be at the biggest courses like Ascot, Sandown, Newmarket, York, etc. But over the jumps, you can have Newcastle with a Grade 1 hurdle, and you just think, kind of, where's that come from? How have they still got that? Why is it at Newcastle?
Yeah.
It comes early enough in the season, but it's late November, and we've had some good winners of it. But in recent years, I mean, Constitution Hill's won it. In recent years, it's kind of been one horse, and it's not really a good trial because you don't learn a lot. This year, looking at it, Willie could send one over. Constitution Hill is being aimed as his kind of comeback for the season, as well as the New Lion, who's the current favourite for the champion hurdle. So I would have usually said the Christmas hurdle at Kempton is, outside of Cheltenham, kind of one of the better hurdle races of the season. But this year's Fighting Fifth at Newcastle could be one to keep an eye on because we could have a real
early
clash.
though, isn't it? So early. How many months is that? 1, 2, 3, 4 months?
Yes, it's quite early. The thing is, though, if you look at the rest of the calendar, it used to be you'd have that, then you'd have the Christmas hurdle just after Christmas on Boxing Day. Then there wouldn't be, for the British horses, there wouldn't really be anything between then and Cheltenham. So a lot of horses would wait. What they've done now is they've moved the international hurdle, which is a Grade 2, so not a Grade 1, but still an important trial. They've moved that at Cheltenham from the December meeting, which I think is a bit silly because that December meeting now doesn't have a feature race really. Yeah. They've moved it to Cheltenham Trials Day, which is the end of January, which Constitution Hill has run in. So you could argue that you could still have another race there. But to be honest, for me, it's kind of, if you win the Christmas hurdle, you're going to be one of the favourites for the champion hurdle come March.
Yeah.
And then in Ireland, they have a similar thing. So they have their own kind of version of the Fighter 50, like the Morgiana, which is around the same time in mid-November. Then they have their own Christmas hurdle called the Ryanair hurdle around Christmas time. So Leopardstown will be on for 3 or 4 days around Christmas. So great racing. And then they have their Irish champion hurdle at the Dublin Racing Festival.
I like it because it's I like it because mirroring the run up, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
good.
So
Although I would say the international hurdle at Cheltenham's a grade 2. Would that impact anything too much or not? It's just more about winnings and
yeah, it's
other
only been
caliber
in
of
that,
horses, I
in that
guess.
slot. So usually I would say a lower grade horse would win that because it was in December as well. The ground usually was
Yeah.
pretty boggy. It's only been in that slot for a couple of years, so it's probably a bit early to sort of tell whether. I mean, Constitution Hill's running it, although that was when he made an absolute haulix to the last, but it's got away with it. So it's hard to tell whether that race will really be used as a trial. But for me, you've got the 5th to Christmas, and in Ireland, you've got the race at the same sort of time at Christmas, and then you've got the Irish Champion Hurdle. So those are the 4 key trials, really, two in England, 2 in Ireland.
Yeah, okay, nice. So what are the horses to watch then? You've got a couple. Maybe let's just do a couple of picks. And this is obviously where we fast forward in a few months' time and we say, told you so.
Yeah, get these clipped up ready for hopefully when one of them might land. And we've predicted the winners in November. I mean, the Champion Hurdle is probably one of my more favourite races at the festival. It's just in recent years there hasn't been like a real depth of quality. There tends to be one good horse and a couple of others, so it's not been maybe the best spectacle. Although last year's race, as you'll remember, was full of drama with Constitution Hill disappearing and then
too much drama for my liking.
About 10 lengths clear at the last fell, and I was on the 50-1 outsider that had a tenner each way on. And
I forgot that. That was wild.
My
you
old
didn't have
man
just a tenner each way. You had tenner each way on the course, then you had God knows what else.
Well,
When you go in, you don't go like, just your toes. You go fucking body.
Punish them. My old man's been watching the Champions for Gallop, the ITV series, and I haven't got to this episode yet, but he's watching the Cheltenham one when she wins Golden Ace and cuts the crowd, and you can see, you must be in there somewhere. You can see me and Dad, and I'm just going mental.
Really? Wow.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
I'll send you the video.
So you're on there. That's so good. It's quite easy to spot because you're the only person in the whole crowd in like 10,000 people that was actually.
I felt like, quite self-conscious because I was going mad, and then when the noise deafened down, I was like, was I the only one cheering? Everyone looking at me. But yeah, so last season's race, probably a good example that it's hard to sort of say who's the number one for this year coming. So the old guard, you've got the likes of Stateman, who I've just said, and Constitution Hill, who have been around, clashed heads a couple of times. And, they're both going to be 9 in March. And I was doing a bit of research in terms of like the stats. And there's only one horse in the last 22 years that has won at the age of 9. It tends to suit younger horses coming through.
Yeah, okay.
And that was Hurricane Fly, and he was one of the best ever. So it just shows that those two becoming 9 now is probably going to mean that they're on the way down. So that's the old guard. And looking at the rest of the market at the anti-post list, Lossiemouth is in there quite short. I'm pretty confident she's just going to go to the mare's race again. She won it easily last year.
Yeah.
Willie's kind of said that. Paul Townend, who's his stable jockey, he's going to ride State Man, so again, kind of makes his mind up. Then you've got Marlborough, he's going for the Arkle, and Zadam, we barely see him, he's made of glass, so I wouldn't be picking him out at this stage. And then, so basically, I kind of think, well, who's my main fancy for the race? And it really isn't a very inspiring selection, but given everything I've just said, it's hard to really look past the New Lion. Now, he's kind of 4-1 favourite at the minute, which might prove to be a very good price if a few of these fall by the wayside, especially if he goes and wins the Fighting Fifth first time out.
Yeah.
He was a good novice last season. He won the Callout at Newbury, which was over 2.5, and he became one of the very few horses to ever win at that race and win at the Cheltenham Festival, which broke a long-standing kind of hoodoo. People thought you couldn't possibly do both. And he won the Turners Novice Hurdle, or whatever it's called now. I think it's called the Turners, the 2.5 mile Novice Hurdle, and he won it pretty well in a bit of a battle from the yellow clay. And for people that probably are thinking, well, surely he's won a 2.5 mile race as a novice, would you not be looking at the Supreme for your champion at hurdle horses? Because that's the 2 mile race. But it's a bit of a myth, really, because it's kind of counterintuitive. But because I think it's partly because it's the first race of the whole week. In the Supreme, they go flat out from the minute the tapes go up. They just go like hell for leather. And because they go that quickly for that long all the way around, it actually suits horses with a bit more stamina. Think of a cycle race. Yes, you need speed, but if you can maintain it, you're going to have to have sort of reserves of stamina to keep going.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Race and pace. Whereas on the other race, the one that the New Lion won, yes, it's over further, but they go much steadier for the first kind of half of that race because a lot of the kind of airs come out the balloon of the start of the festival, and it's a bit of a further race, so they don't want to go crazy. And then it can turn into much more of a sprint towards the finish. And just got a few listed here. I mean, winners of that race that have won the Champion Hurdle: Isterbrack, Hardy Eustace, Faheen. And we've also had Rockon Ruby and Bouvardaire that were placed in the race that then went on to win the Champion Hurdle. So it's actually a much better guide to a future Champion Hurdler than what you would think would be the right novice race.
That's interesting. Yeah.
So for those reasons, I just think the new lion's improving. He still has to improve a lot. He's a mid-150s horse based on ratings. You need to kind of be mid-160s to 170 to win a Champion Hurdle, depending on how good the year is. So anything of a stone of improvement, but he's got an untapped potential.
Yeah, okay.
He's probably not the sexiest, but he's my main fancy for the race at this stage.
One to put down then. So you think, where would New Line race, do you think?
Well, looking at that map, he's currently been earmarked for the Fighting Fifth, which is that race at Newcastle at the end of November.
Okay.
So fingers crossed we get some rain and he turns up there. And he could be facing against Constitution Hill, as I say, which
good mark there. Yeah.
Potentially Amsterdam might come over for Willie Mullin. So we're going to know pretty quickly where we stand with the new Lion if he races against Constitution Hill. And as long as Constitution Hill turns up, if he can beat him, he is not going to be 4-1 for the Champion Hurdle. It'll be less than 2.
Exactly. And you can put on a anti-post bet already?
Yeah, anti-post bets.
Bloody hell.
Pretty much the prices pretty much go up as soon as Cheltenham's over the previous seasons.
Okay.
Fair. I know some people will absolutely slag the idea of him being 4-1 the Champion Hurdle, but if you go through the list, you can pick holes in them. So,
good.
I think he's the one to be on at the minute.
Thanks, El. And you got one little outsider as well?
Sneaky one, yeah. I thought we should do this because I don't want to just pick the favourites for every race, and it's a long way out. Anything can happen. Yeah. One I would say, I got on at 20s the other day. The last time I checked, he was still 16s, but he is coming in. So if you listen to this and like my opinion, I take the price now because, as I say, the Champion Hurdle very rarely even gets 8 runners. So if you can get each way now in November, 3 places at a half decent price, you want horses that are just definitely going for the race. And this trainer, he's a small trainer, Barry Connell, but he won the big champion chase with Marine Nationale at Cheltenham last season, knows what it takes to win a big race on the big day. And this horse ran very close in the Supreme, which I know I said is the race that actually can be more for stayers. But he ran against an absolute potential freak in Kopek de Boards of William Mullins's, and the pair pulled so far clear that you could argue that he's potentially being underestimated by the market. He's officially rated just £2 below the new Lion, and one was 4-1 and one was 20-1.
Oh, wow.
I think a lot of people assumed that he would be going over fences this season, but Barry Connell came out in the last week to 10 days and said, no, he's going for the Champion Hurdler. He's going to be a Champion Hurdler. He's going for the race. And looking at the roadmap that I've put up there, he's actually being targeted at the Morgiana, which is next weekend.
Next weekend, yeah.
So now's the time to get on each way. Because if he goes and runs well or even wins that race, he is going to be single figures.
You heard it here first.
I heard it.
Get on it now.
Yeah. William money each way.
Mate, you have to be so organised with your betting. You must also have like a lot of equity just tied up in a betting app for 6 months?
I actually did the spreadsheet for the first time this year because we know the one we do for our trainings and form. Put all it was actually quite helpful when I was at Cheltenham. So I got bets accumulated from, I mean, this is pretty early for me to be fair, but because we're doing this, I've gone, well, I might as well have a little bet on it.
Yeah.
But I'll have bets accumulated from the end of the year into the new year for Cheltenham because you've seen it, the prices. I mean, I got
I completely get it. And that's why you say if you get a winner and you're like, oh, got it here. Oh, I forgot I got it here because it's probably like a year ago you put it on.
But Jasmine DeVoe that won on the Friday at Cheltenham in the Albert Bartlett, I got that 33-1 and I think it went off like 5-6-1.
Wow,
absolutely creamed it because of that. It doesn't always work.
Potato race. No, of course, yeah. It's a long time to lose 20 quid. Right, let's get on to the Gold Cup. So Champion Chase and Stayers Hurdle, the other two, which we'll cover next week. Let's finish on Gold Cup, and then we'll get on to Wincanton, a couple of little sneaky ones this weekend. So Gold Cup then, the big one. Talking about winning time then, so this is 3 mile, isn't it? What's a good time then for the Gold Cup? I'm just going to have a little look, a little goose.
I would say around 6 minutes. I think I'd struggle to see it under 6 minutes.
6
maybe
minutes
5
30.
Something.
Yeah,
is it 6:30?
So the fastest time is 6 minutes 15. That was in 1941.
Oof. That was an Arkle, was it? That's probably a bit early for Arkle.
That was Poet Prince.
4 months off. Yeah,
before
it's a solid
even
6
you
or
would have
7 minute race. it's a feast.
But the long run in 2011 is the fastest time, 6 minutes 29 in the modern era. So,
Yeah.
so
I was
double
there
the
that year.
distance, double the time, basically, of the champion hurdle. So, what does it take apart from being able to jump and a bit of stamina? What?
Yeah, I mean, I would say obviously in all these championship races you need to jump, but it's probably one race where you can maybe get away with the odd mistake and still win. If I was to rank the importance of the attributes, I probably wouldn't have it in the 1, 2, or 3, but I would have stamina, because there have been so many horses that have won King George's over 3 miles, or the odd Lexus Chase at Leopardstown over 3 miles at Christmas time, and have therefore gone to Cheltenham as quite hotly fancied horses. And it is a grueling race, because not only is it further than either of those races, it's 3 miles, 2.5 furlongs, but it's run at a clip that you just wouldn't see in a season, because it's the big race. They go for it, and they leave nothing behind.
I mean, that was the biggest thing that I saw up front, close and personal, last year, was just the speed. Like, it's so different to, it's almost like they're running Ascot sprint pace for 3-4 miles.
Yeah. I mean, they call it championship pace for a reason. It's just like, you'll hear the jockeys talk about it. They know when they're at Cheltenham, because everything goes up a gear, and also you're not given any space to breathe. If you miss a yard, that space has been taken. So therefore, it's unsurprising, because it is a long distance race. But I just want to really emphasise the point that you need to stay. You need to prove that you can stay to win this. Yeah. Winning at Haydock, winning at Kempton, great. This is an extended trip over a stiff finish. They go real pace, and there are no hiding places in a Gold Cup. So stamina is the absolute number one thing. Yep. But to follow that, some people get sucked into thinking that there are lots of races where stamina is key, like races like the Grand National Trial at Haydock, or the Welsh National itself, or kind of races that are just ploddy races that are boggy, soft, horses that just stay all day, stay longer than the mother-in-law, and they just sort of, you have had winners like Native River, for example. Yeah, he won the Welsh National, as did Synchronised. So you think, well, is it really a classy race? Is it just about the horse that stays the longest? But that is definitely not true. The reason that the Gold Cup is the best, and what sets it apart, is that, yes, you need to stay far, but you also need to have ability. You need to have class, because every single winner this century, even including the worst winner this century, Lord Windermere, had won a Grade 1 race prior to their Gold Cup victory. So it's not good enough to just be slow and stay forever. You need quality as well. So that's proven with every single one has won the Grade 1s, and they were all rated in the mid 160s going into the Gold Cup. So again, had already achieved quite a high rating, apart from Lord Windermere, who was rated 152, and honestly the worst winner this century, and worst winner probably in many years. So that one anomaly aside, you need to be classy to win a Gold Cup. It's not just for slow boats.
Yeah, fair. I mean, of course, it's Gold Cup, so makes sense. But that's interesting on that they've all won a Grade 1 before, so this is where your long-term game for betting will actually pay off right now.
Yeah.
Because I guess between now and late January, so we'll go through when we flash up the road to Cheltenham now. So you got 2, 4, 6, 8 key races, all Grade 1s, apart from Cotswold Chase in Cheltenham late January. So it's interesting. What's a Premier Handicap? What's the difference?
It's a thing that they've introduced with Premier Racing in the last few years. I mean, I
remember you saying like Premier Race Days. Yeah.
Because they basically, so a lot of the classifications for the big handicaps, they used to be like that race you're talking about now at Newbury is what I would call the Hennessy. It's actually not even called the Ladbrokes Trophy anymore.
Hennessy Gold Cup, it was called, isn't it?
It's now called the Coral Gold Cup. So it was the Ladbrokes Trophy for a few seasons. Everybody in the game still calls it the Hennessy. That used to be originally a Grade 2 handicap. They don't have Grade 2 handicaps anymore. Then it was a Grade 3 handicap. And there are a few listed handicaps, but I think they've seemingly just removed the graded status from handicaps. And if they're a Class 1 handicap, they're just a Premier handicap. So there's no real distinction between them. So that's what that means. But there's probably more potential trials for a Gold Cup across England and Ireland. There are more ways in to the race. There's just fewer races for the champion hurdle type. So the first one we actually had last weekend in Ireland comes up pretty early, and it was a very small field because the ground was so dry. And Voyallen won it again. I think it's the third time he's won that. So absolute hero, but he won't be going anywhere near the Gold Cup That's for sure. But the first one that we have in this country really is the Betfair Chase. So that's a fairly new race in the last 15 to 20 years. But it's actually thrown up, Quarto Star won 4 of them, and he won 2 Gold Cups. Plenty of good horses. Q Cards won it.
The King.
The King. Plenty of good horses have run in the Betfair Chase. But that's a flat left-handed. And then probably the biggest one outside of Cheltenham is the King George at Kempton at Christmas. That in itself is like a Gold Cup for me. It's everyone wants to win a King George. Some of these other races are just stepping stones along the way to Cheltenham. I think a lot of people would be quite happy to lose in the Betfair, but win a King George or a Gold Cup. No one uses the King George as a stepping stone. It is a finale in its own right.
And then you hope to kick on. It's a bit early though to peak, would you say? But I guess there's enough time.
It's the time in between, yeah. So you can have your little run in somewhere else, maybe Haydock, win a King George. I mean, Quarto Star many times went straight from the King George to the Gold Cup. Yeah, so, it's perfectly doable. And then in a similar vein to the Champion Hurdle, Ireland have 2 kind of big meetings at Leopardstown. They have the 3 or 4 days around Christmas. Then they have the Dublin Racing Festival. So unsurprisingly, in both of those fixtures, they have what used to be called the Lexus Chase. In the same way the Hennessy's got. That's now called the Savills Chase, but it's basically a 3-mile Grade 1. Then they have the Irish Gold Cup, which is, again, over the Dublin Racing Festival, so over 3 miles at Leopardstown. So Gallop and Deschamps regularly has gone and won both of those and gone on to Cheltenham. So they're good trials in their own right. The Cotswold Chase at Trials Day at Cheltenham, I would say, I cannot remember the last time that threw up a Gold Cup winner.
Oh, really? Interesting.
And is a great...
I would look at that cold without knowledge and say, well, Cheltenham... Probably there's no better prep for Cheltenham than Cheltenham. But
mate, even the race itself, I learned this the hard way going into being like, oh, great, to Saturday, I'm 18, 19, I'm in my first few bets. And I'm thinking Cheltenham, Gold Cup horses, there'll be an even money favourite because it'll be the best horse in the race by a mile, gets beaten. The amount of times the favourite has got beaten in that race, that alone, use it as a trial for Cheltenham Gold Cup. It's a graveyard. I don't know why. It's maybe the wrong time of the year. The ground's usually pretty boggy. But it's not the prep. It would be the best prep, you would think. Go and run at Cheltenham before the Gold Cup, a couple of months out, but it doesn't always work.
Interesting. All right, yeah. So that's a good little tip just there. Save yourself a few quid. You're welcome. Let's pick a couple of the horses then to follow. So I think you've got one for the novice hurdler, novice chaser, and then you've got.
No,
let's do what's the novice hurdler, novice chaser, and then you've got the Gold Cup. Yeah.
Let's do. Well, I'll do my fancies for the Gold Cup, and then
go on then.
We'll do next week with Duncan. See what his
are. Okay, let's do that then. Because we'll be covering that next week. So. All right then, go on then. Which ones have you got on already?
Again, so this is why I've done a main fancy and outsider because everyone will be like, oh, it's pretty obvious. But we're talking about potentially a change in the guard in the Champion Hurdle this season with the new line coming through. We saw a change in the guard in the Gold Cup last season when Gallop and Deschamps kind of went out on his shield a little bit. Definitely wasn't his best performance. But having won 2 Gold Cups and being the hot favourite to go and win 3, he would have made, kind of recent history in doing that. First one since Best Mate. He just didn't really turn up on the day, and he never really looked like getting involved until kind of like between 4 out, 3 out, coming down the hill. I just thought, oh my God, he's back. And he looked good. But then this younger protagonist, I know the way you're thinking, which basically hadn't done anything all season, hadn't won a race all season, but importantly, had a Grade 1 race on his CV, was peaked at the very best time in the second week of March, and he went away and down to the old champion. Gallop and Deschamps, although he's been a great servant to the game and been a great Gold Cup winner, he will be 10 next year, and the last winning 10-year-old was 1998. Unfortunately, I'm not big on stats. Like, you won't hear me talk much about trends or stats.
Yeah.
There are certain stats that are almost...
Well, age is a stat you shouldn't ignore, like especially in sort of these top races, these Grade 1s.
I would say that of all the Cheltenham stats that float about every year, people doing previews, the age ones are the ones that are the most reliable because they just...
Oh, really?
Because I've fallen foul of it thinking, this horse is still good enough, he's still good enough, but they just get to a certain age and it's like a glass ceiling. They can't break
this year, like, there's a bit of a theme where, like, there is a bit of a changing of the guard, so it is a bit more challenging for anyone to try and figure out who's going to be stepping into those shoes.
Yeah, so I mean, I just looking at the list of runners, I mean, I have got a couple of fancy each way, but towards the top of the market, I just think I know the way you're thinking. We'll probably have a very similar campaign this year. Don't be surprised if this horse doesn't win again on the way to Cheltenham. And actually, this is one where I'd be saying probably don't bet on him now, because if anything, his price is likely to get bigger as he probably comes up short.
Yeah.
And it's just like each run brings him on, and he improves like markedly last season. Basically, Gold Cup winners of old by winning a really good handicap when he won the Kinmure off top weight the season before.
Yeah.
And his RPRs basically improved every run last season, and then he peaked with a rating of 182, which proves that he's more the Gold Cup class.
Yeah, wow.
The only other one at the top of the list, Factor File, I think is just going to go to the Ryanair. There's not a lot else at the top of the market. I just think I know the way you're thinking.
I like Factor File.
Yeah, but he's owned by the same owner as I know the way you're thinking. If he was owned by somebody else, I would be very sure they'd run him in the Gold Cup.
Fair.
But I know the way you're thinking is the main one. And I've got one for you today that actually ran today.
Go on then.
Now, I haven't checked the price since he ran, but I would be very surprised if he's still this price. But looking for one at a bit of a sneak, I was very tempted by Gaelic Warrior, who obviously won the Arkle last season, and I backed him. Last year, in 2024. Last season, he didn't run at Cheltenham, but he did win at Aintree, and he won at Sandown. And he does seem to be better going right-handed. And Willie has kind of talked about missing Cheltenham, so I can't put him up thinking he might not get there. However, he will win the King George. I'm dead certain of that. He's absolutely tailor-made for the King George. Take any price you want now about him winning the King George. So outside of him, you can clip that up for when it happens.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's an absolute claim.
I really like Haiti Claus. He's lightly raced for his age, and he's going to be 9 next year, which is getting on a bit. But that 9-year-olds have a much better record in the Gold Cup than they do for like a champion hurdle. So because it suits sort of more developed horses, so I wouldn't be too put off by his age. And as I say, he's lightly raced. He went from strength to strength last season. He won a handicap at the course, literally off like 130. And then he went and won the National Hunt Chase, which is race for novices, off 135. But then he absolutely romped home in the Irish National. And he's now rated 152, which would give him sort of £20 to find. But he was having a prep run. Literally, I was listening to a podcast. The trainer was on saying that his run today over hurdles at Newbury he's not fully fit. It's literally not, he's not even running to win it. He's being prepped for hopefully for the Old Hennessy in a couple of weeks at Newbury. But he's gone and won it pretty cosily today over hurdles. So that says to me, this horse is just on the upgrade.
He's ready.
And I will check the price, but he was 25 to 1. And I just thought, there's going to be loads of horses that won't run in this race. He's absolutely going to be targeted at the race. And I just thought 25 to 1 was too big for a horse that's on the up. So Haiti Claus is my each way fancy.
Oh, that is bold, mate. That is bold. I love that.
You got to do a bit of work. Find something a bit more interesting.
Well, yeah, exactly. I think these are the tips that people just don't give you.
Let me
and tips in terms of horses and tips on how to pick the right horse.
I might as well do the bets for everyone. The sort of legwork I'm doing here.
Well, I've always said, mate, I'll give you my money.
Still, I don't know if you can see that. It's still 25 to 1.
Can't see it. Can't see it.
All right, take it from me. It's 25 to 1. Whenever you
might
watch
be money
it,
coming in tonight. Might be money
money
coming in tonight.
for me.
I just don't know if I can hold on to the money long enough in the Betfair account or whatever account you use.
You'll be cashing that out when you need a pint next week.
Exactly. I was like, no, I'm nervous. Get rid of it. All right. Good. Thanks, mate. Very useful. So we'll cover the other divisions next week when Duncan's back. But as a reminder, we covered Champion Hurdle and Gold Cup. And then next week, we'll cover the other two. So yeah, exciting. And we'll do a little, like we say, we'll do a segment each week, I think, on the jump season. I think it's all about the run up to Cheltenham, but as you said, El, there's some big races between now and Cheltenham, so I think it's important for us to keep that thread going. So yeah, let us know if you've got any questions or any thoughts on those, because I think it's important to share. Good. Shall we get on to the weekend then?
Yeah,
Wincanton.
Something for the weekend.
Something for the week. Always got to have something for the weekend. So this is Wincanton then. So we'll focus on the 3:30, but I guess it's quite a big race this time of year in terms of, being the first proper sort of jumps meet. The weather looks, like you say, is quite a lot of rain, so it's sort of a good to firm. So I was looking at that earlier. Shall I start with mine?
Yeah.
Give you a bit of a break?
Go on.
As you've been rabbiting it on for a while. Right, so I've gone with Gustavian, which you actually guessed just before we were talking on the pod. So trainer Anthony Honeyball, great name. Training reform, I actually start with that normally just because practice what you preach. Obviously, it's not a deciding factor in terms of it's not the only thing I'd look at, but it's a criteria. And yeah, what have I said in my notes? I said one at the distance before, which is good. I don't think it's one at the course before. Is it one at the course before? No, not sure. I don't think so. I want a distance though. Stayed at 127 rating, so it hasn't gone up since last run, which is good. And yeah, I think likes the ground a little bit, but I'm a bit worried if it stays good to firm, I'd be a little bit worried. But yeah, that's my newbie nap really, based on those. I mean, I could have spent a bit longer on it, granted, but that's what I'm going for, Gustavin. And 5-1, I think, at the moment. Might be able to get a bit better, so you might be able to get 6s somewhere and do a cheeky each way. But there's only 7 runners, so yeah, not a big old race. But yeah, what's your thinking?
Well, I like Andy Honeyball, and he's a man that targets
Tick.
this meeting and this race. He's actually got 2 of the 7 runners. The reason why I didn't bet on him or tip him is because he ran in this race last season off basically the same mark. It was 128, so it's a pound higher. And he was beaten 17.5 lengths. Came third, but was beaten a long way. So I thought a year later, a year older, 10-year-old, is he really going to suddenly win it now? And he ran it the year before, and he was beaten, he was 7th, beaten 26.5 lengths. So he's had a couple of goes at it and he's not done it. That was the only thing that put me off. But this is the weakest renewal of this race I can ever remember.
So I've got a chance.
If he's ever going to do it, it's this year.
Well, you pissed on my fire.
Definitely got a chance.
You pissed on my fire there, but I like it. I like the. That's just something else that I need to look at there. I didn't actually look at the age. I need to do that. Yeah. The problem is there's so many bloody rabbit holes.
Yeah.
Now that begs the question that the other one in the race, who's the other one?
Of his? Credo.
Of his.
Greedo.
That begs the question whether
He's
Credo,
also 10, or she's 10, I should say.
Is 10 as well. Yeah, okay, fine. Anyway, who you got?
First things first, you said about this weekend, Wincanton. As a former West Country stalwart myself, having spent, I don't know, 10, 15 years of my life growing up around there, literally 20 minutes from Wincanton, we used to go every single year and absolutely loved it. And it was kind of their biggest day, really, bar none. And Badger Beer, which is literally, if you go anywhere in Somerset or Dorset or Wiltshire, it's Badger Ales everywhere. This is actually the longest running sponsorship in horse racing.
Oh, really?
This is the 64th. You used to be
I haven't seen a Badger Ale for a while. Maybe I haven't.
Yeah, but you wouldn't see them around here, would you? Well, I suppose you're kind of even more in a different place now. But it's like
I don't know.
Hall and Woodhouse, the brewery, the Southwest. They've got it all. They've got it all covered. Bit of a thirsty ferret and a tanglefoot.
Thirsty ferret. Yeah.
Those are all the beers. Yeah. So many a year I've been down there on the tanglefoot or on the thirsty ferret. And absolutely steamboated at this meeting, and it's usually brilliant. And Paul Nichols is one of the best trainers. Obviously, he trains not far away. David Pipe and Harry Fry and those guys. They all target this meeting, but. You know, you've got the Grade 2 Elite Hurdle, you've got a couple of good handicaps, and this being the Premier Handicap. It's just so disappointing that it hasn't rained. And actually, their first meeting of the season a couple of weeks ago was called off because it was too dry. And they can't really water it in Canton. There's no like natural water nearby. They obviously got just enough rain for this to be on, but as you rightly say, it's good to firm. And so 7 runners, it's just a shame because this race, I mean, Frodon won this race. He was a couple of years ago, he was a Grade 1 winner. Some very good horses have won it over the years. But anyway, we're left with 7. And as a result of that, I've kind of looked at this race differently this year because usually you're looking for a classier horse that can carry a lot of weight, that'll outclass. Basically, you'll get a couple of these races at this time of year where you've got horses that have been on the go all summer, literally making hay while the sun shines, clashing with the proper jump horses of the winter who are having their first start.
Interesting.
Okay. Who tend to be the better horses, but sometimes the fitness of the horses that have been going all summer.
Yeah, because they've got race fitness.
Can nick the odd pot here and there before they then get put away for the winter. And I think this is a classic example of what's going to happen on Saturday. I wouldn't usually have this sort of horse on my mind for the race, but Art of Diplomacy, who is actually favourite now, he wasn't favourite when I was looking earlier. I got 11-4, I see he's up 2-1, so he's definitely coming in for some money.
God, yeah, it's gone up to favourite, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, he's won 5 times in a row over the summer. Classic example, just cherry picking weak races on good ground. He clearly likes the good ground. I don't know why at the age of 9, since Mickey Bowen took over the licence from his dad Peter, as a 9-year-old, this horse has just suddenly started to improve, but he has improved, and he would have made it 6 times lucky last time out, but he fell when leading at the last fence. No. And I just think a lot of these other horses are on their first start of the season. In fact, every other horse bar Tommy Bowes, the absolute outsider, is having their first start of the season. This horse has got fitness on its side. will stay the distance no problem, will like the ground no problem, is still probably on an okay handicap mark in the small field. I just think he absolutely wins this art diplomacy. And whenever you listen to this, if he's being backed, just take the odds.
Just take it.
Cash in. It's not what I like
I'm
to
excited.
see. I like to see a
I'm
classy horse,
excited.
but you have to play the cards you're dealt, and I just think this
Well,
horse,
yeah, you know,
he's
that's
gonna
all
win.
about, yeah, exactly.
He's just going to win this
Different-
race, I think.
Exactly. Different race for different needs.
5 cherry rating.
5 cherries. We haven't had cherries for a while.
Get
I
the
thought we'd save
cherryometer
that for
back, dust it down.
I'm excited to see the picture of you slapping it home on Saturday.
You saw Duncan's last week. the other
That's
week.
crazy.
Loving it.
Yeah, I loved it. Fair play. Fair play. Right. Thanks, mate. Thank you for taking us through that. It's a lot of good detail and a lot of prep, so appreciate it. And thank you, everyone, for listening, for watching, wherever you're tuning in from. Please comment and let us know what you like about this podcast, what you'd like us to cover next time, and drop us your questions via email or social media. As a reminder, you can watch us on YouTube, listen to us on Apple and Spotify, message us on tailedoffpod@gmail.com, and then we're also on the socials. So until next time, have fun out there, race hard, race smart, and try not to be tailed off. Cheers, guys. Cheers, El.
Boom.
Position. Any power at the last race down. Any power has gone, but in front of the last left. Melody
Right by the far side, they're running up towards the finish, and he's mistaken the winning post. He's mistaken the winning post completely, Roger Lockwood, and Hoyt
From Archibald, Hardy Eustace defends his title, but Archibald is flattened out in second. Then in front, the right line is beginning to come. He's drifting off the true line. He heads for, and this must be home. It's going to win his 4th Betfair Chase.